everybody, I'm Liz, and today we are going to do my pretty dismal June wrap-up. Because June was not a great reading month for me. I only finished 2 books, and the majority of the first book I read in May. So we'll just get started right away with the first book I finished, which was A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the sequel to A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read that last November, and this book was quite a chore for me. It follows Feyre's journey in the Fey realm, and things get really messy, and it was quite a struggle for me just to read it. I didn't actually get hooked in the story until the last quarter of the book. I just felt like a lot of things were just getting pushed on me, and I wasn't quite ready for it, and just some of the word structure was bothering me. I do have to say that knowing it was a Hades and Persephone retelling really helped rekindle my want to read this story and my need to just keep reading and see it through to the end. And I'm pretty glad I did, because as I said, the last 25% of the book I was so hooked and the plot really dragged me in, and I really just wanted to finish up the story. But alas, because the first 75% of the story just really dragged on for me, I can only give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The second book I finished is a perfect book for all you nerds out there that love D&D. This book is called NPCs by Drew Hayes, and I listened to the audiobook of this and it was just super phenomenal. He did so many different character voices that I absolutely loved, and I was very intrigued by the storyline. This was actually introduced to me by Ian on Instagram, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed, because it's not my typical story, you know, being thrown into this D&D world, but it is still fantasy based, and so I was pretty excited to actually read it. NPCs, if you don't know, is a D&D term for non-playable characters, and so they're not really vital to the D&D world. However, when adventurers are killed by their poor mistakes and they have a summons from a king, the NPCs take it upon themselves to assume these adventurer roles and answer the king's summons in order to keep their town alive and safe from the king's wrath. I got a little bit confused when they would switch from the adventurer characters playing in their D&D setup to the non-playable characters actually in this fantasy realm, but it was still very entertaining and very enjoyable, and I'd have to give it at least a 4 out of 5 stars. And so there we go with my very short, very sweet June wrap-up. I plan on reading better in July, but that might not happen as I am still in summer school. The first book I am reading is Shadow Study by Maria V. Snyder. This is her first book in the Soulfinder series. I read a little bit of it earlier this year, got confused, and had to go back to read her spin-off series called Sea Glass, and then I picked this book back up, and I've been reading it here and there because I've been so busy with my other reads. But now I'm pretty committed, and I'm about halfway through currently. It basically follows Yelena and all of her struggles and trials in the Ixian and Satya world. And again, guys, don't judge, but I am still reading A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have not made very much leeway. I'm just a little bit further than a third of the way through. I just need to put aside time to read it, but with work and, you know, school, things happen to where I'm not actually reading, and it is a shame. If you haven't heard what A Darker Shade of Magic is about, it is about these 4 different dimensions of the London and the English world, where there is one that is called the Grey London, that is like our world, that is magic free. And there's a Red London that has magic and is fairly peaceful. And then there is a Red London that is in this magic turmoil. and then there's a Black London which is completely closed off and decimated. And then it takes place where a guy named Kel, who's able to travel between dimensions because he can use blood magic, and then there is a thief called Delilah, and she wants to be a pirate, and I think that's fantastic, and I just really need to read more of this story. The last book I have plans to read in July is The Wrath in the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I have finished the prologue last night, and I'm pretty excited to read more of the story. I've heard fairly good things about it, so we'll see what comes of it. I know that this is inspired by 1001 Nights, where we have a king that kills off his brides. And his next bride, in order to save her life, she tells him a new story every night. And so I'm pretty excited to see what the story holds and to see if I actually like it, like a majority of people do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell me down below in the comments what are some of your favorite reads of June and what books you are excited to read in July. I hope you guys stick around my channel by liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye!